FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
Why is everyone so afraid of sharks? More people were killed last year by deer in this country than sharks. And yet, you go to see a Steven Spielberg movie, and you don't go, or George Lucas, whoever it was, you don't go, wait, that's not a deer. What's everyone afraid of? And yet we're afraid of sharks. Sharks are really visceral. Snakes too, right? Public speaking. How come? It turns out, today's been all about brain science. Right back here near your brainstem, your amygdala, is what psychologists call the lizard brain, which some of you have read about in Linchpin. The lizard brain, which my friend Steve Pressfield gave a name to, a voice to, the resistance, is in charge of reproduction and anger and survival and fear. It's the brain of every wild animal. The right answer to why did the chicken cross the road is because its lizard brain told it to. The lizard brain is prehistoric. It's been around for millions of years. Genes connected to an organism without a lizard brain don't survive. Wild animals are wild for a reason. They are trying to survive and have more babies. Well, we still have one. We built a lot of other new brain material around it. Brain material that does things like creativity and generosity and connection. But the lizard, when the lizard is activated, is brutal. You're on a plane, 10,000 feet, you're in the middle of a perfect paragraph on your business plan and you hit turbulence. Do you keep typing or put your head between your knees and start screaming? Most people do not keep typing. If we were rational about it, we would realize that willing and yelling and arguing for the plane to remain aloft has no effect on what the pilot is doing, right? A small aside. You know that whole thing about no cell phones in flight? If they're so dangerous, how come bad guys don't get up and go, I got a cell phone, go to Cuba, I'm going to hit the dial button. That's always bothered me. But anyway, so what happens is that part of our brain is activated, and it takes over. That part of our brain says, you better not raise your hand and ask a question, because people might laugh at you. That part of your brain says, I'm going to read Business Plan for Dummies and do it just like it says in the book, because then no one will be able to tell me I left that part out. That part of your brain says, I better not reach out to this person and offer them something because they might take advantage of me, or they might laugh at me, or I might say the wrong thing. And so the lizard brain loves school. It loves being a cog in the system. The lizard brain is soothed by working on the assembly line because it's not your fault. And if it's not your fault, you can't get blamed. And if you can't get blamed, you won't get in trouble, and you end up homeless and starving to death and dead. And that's the only way it thinks, black or white, in or out, one or the other. And entrepreneurs have gone 90% of the way to overcoming the resistance. Entrepreneurs have overcome so many of the things we've been taught about fitting in, not standing out. And yet in the breach, at the last minute, most entrepreneurs take a half step back and sabotage the work. And we sabotage the work because it's safer to fail small. It's safer to say, if I could just get funded, then I'd succeed, than it is to say, wow, I got funded, I better think big or I'm going to fail big. It's easier to fail small.